How's it going, everybody? International Master Daniel Rensch here, back again for Chess.com's YouTube channel. And today we have a special daily puzzle challenge recorded just for YouTube, not airing live, because guess what? If you're watching this right now, then you probably already know. Today was a Bullet Brawls Day, and it's happening on Chess Monday. So if you're actually catching this between 2:30 or 1:30 Pacific to about 3 p.m. Pacific, go over to Chess TV and check it out. But we are doing daily puzzle videos now with an eye on a little bit more education, providing some insight into the thought process and the patterns. A little bit less of a game, Danny racing against the clock. Let's find more ways for the adrenaline junkie Danny to do something, right? We're not doing that as much. And so today's daily puzzle, November 23rd, was actually uploaded directly to Facebook, which you can check out. I know what you're thinking. What's Facebook, right? Sounds like a weird name. Yeah, I agree. But what we are going to do is do one more daily puzzle challenge, at least for right now. Me racing against the clock, starting with October 31st puzzle and moving into November 22nd. We're getting ready to start, and this already looks tough. If I remember, the Halloween was on a Saturday this year, so this should be tough. Let's get going. The timer starts going, and we will see. Can I pull it off? A daily puzzle challenge. There's a baby in the background, in case you haven't noticed that. There you go. All right, but this is already a really tough one. Endgame technique. Yeah, you're telling me. Currently, white is down a pawn. So that's the first thing you observe. Material. Always start with the most concrete. Then start with the tempo moves. You have a tempo move with bishop a7 check, but you should also start with your opponent's tempo moves, which means if I don't do anything, there's also rook e6 check coming. And that's kind of scary to me. That makes me dismiss passive moves, so I'm going to start with the power move, bishop a7 check. King to c7. If I get a queen, he takes, I take, he takes with the king. And then I can play rook e1, which would gobble the pawn. But if we're talking about technique, is that really a winning endgame for white? I mean, worst case scenario, he even loses both his pawns. But the king and bishop versus king and rook is actually a draw for black. And unless I see a forcing way to punish like the current setup of the pieces, then you really shouldn't go for something like that and expect winning chances, right? Never dismiss the potential to go for maybe what would be a theoretical draw, because look at the current coordination of the pieces, and there may be tricks. But if you don't see it, you should dismiss it. Bishop a7, king c7, b8 check, rook takes, bishop takes, king takes, rook b1 check, no, rook e1, no. King to b6 is going to allow a check. In fact, bishop d4 would win the rook. So I'm going to guess I'm wrong, that the most forcing move, bishop a7 and then b8, wouldn't work. But bishop a7, king c7, and then rook to c1 check. The king moves. The problem is now his bishop guards b8, and rook c8 doesn't work either. So as much as I started off today's puzzle solving contest by saying that I was going to focus on tempo moves because I recognized my opponent was threatening something solid, I'm going to go back on that and say that actually rook e6 can be met by bishop e6 I'm now seeing, which renews the threat of things like rook g8 mate. So that means if it's possible that I can stop his king. In fact, the more I see that, the more it looks like this must be the move. Okay, I'm off to the right foot. The reason is that was threatening bishop a7 checkmate. And he instantly plays king to c7, which means should I play bishop a7 check? I've already used almost 3 minutes. Bishop a7 check, the king moves, and then queen. Ugh, this is frustrating. This race against the clock has done so much for my anxiety. This is the real reason we stopped doing the live daily puzzle show, because Papa Bear couldn't take it anymore. But all right, I have to forget about the clock, keep it educational, and try to beat the game. I know you guys are rooting for me in the YouTube comments. I know you act like negative Nancy's all the time, but I know you love me. Don't worry about it. Okay, bishop b6 check still doesn't do anything. Bishop a7 check still doesn't do anything. So we must try to eliminate the bishop probably with bishop d4 if he moves. I think that's it. Okay, got that. And now I assume we must trade and then play. If we take, he has to take with the king because rook takes his queen. If take takes with the king, now rook c8 works because if he gets a queen, we take here and it's a skewer. That's got to be it. Yes. Yes. No. What? How did that miss it? How did that miss it? How was rook c8 not the answer? If he takes, you take, and then if he queens, you skewer him. If he queens, you skewer him. I think rook c8 is winning. Did I just like mouse slip? Did I let go on c7? That's not the answer. I know rook c8 is winning here. If takes, takes, queen, queen to e8 check, and I skewer him. What is it, just like king a7? Or something like just rook e1? and when he moves, you take the pawn. That's really not accurate. Honestly, I think mine was just as accurate, so we're not going to count this against me. I mean, seriously, the puzzle should have ended here then, because rook c8 is a dual answer. Again, if he checks you when you move, if he gets a queen, you queen with check. Ah, that's got to be it. Yeah, okay, I'm wrong. As usual, when I complain, I'm wrong. Not that might be winning for white, but it's not the best technique by me to allow rook e6 check. I saw this whole skewer idea, and I was convinced that that must be it, right? But rook e1 is more accurate. Okay, well, that's why this is tough, and Halloween puzzles were tough. Anytime you're solving a puzzle on a Friday or Saturday on Chess.com, those are our toughest puzzles, FYI. That's a very quick one. You just fill the escape square for the king, and then you checkmate. That's a pattern that you should know. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, I think I see it. You give check. If moves, you mate. King c8. Then you come back to c3 check, and then you mate. Come back to c3, right? Yeah, okay. So sometimes that was actually easier than it looked to start, but instant replay for those who love Sports Center or Chess Center for that matter. The key is that you get the queen into a mating net position with tempi, and you can't settle for anything less because there's just too much material for your opponent. So you find a way to improve the queen with tempo moves. And now we move on to maintaining the trap. Sounds tricky. Sounds expensive. Anybody who says sounds expensive with that voice has probably never had to worry about money their whole life. Therefore, they don't earn our respect. No, I'm kidding. All right. This is tough. The king is trapped, but I don't see any tempo moves that seriously improve my position, and I have 17 minutes to figure it out. If rook h4 check, the only move is king to f3. But then what? I see a draw. I'm guessing there's an improving move here, like king e2. The problem I have with that is what's the next move, right? What's the follow-up? Huh. Rook f7 doesn't do anything. The knight can take. Rook g4, the knight can take, and I don't see any reason to deflect the knight off that square. King e2, again, seems like a move I would play quickly in blitz and just kind of believe that getting the... Oh, actually, king e2 threatens rook h4 was his mate. Yeah, so if rook takes, rook h4 is really strong. And that was sort of my instinct. King e2, the only question is rook e4 check. And then I have to play king here, but the king is still trapped, so I'm going to trust this is correct. All right, I got it. That was actually accurate. So it's quick to dismiss king e2 because you're allowing your opponent check. But one thing that's good about the daily puzzle and tactics trainer is like you have to dismiss your dogmatic thoughts about how to solve tactics, right? Solve it like it's a real game, not like a move that just sacrifice just because you think it should be the reason to sacrifice, because it's a tactic, right? Okay, these ones are always tough and fun. It's from a real game. We love the access our bishops are giving to us on the diagonals. That is faux show. One of the things to do is to consider trying to remove this bishop if there's advantages of the queen being on the diagonal, but I don't see it. The other option is to play something like knight g4 to hit h6. Again, not a very forcing move. Okay, knight takes f7 is interesting. If rook takes, we get to e8 check, and if he blocks it... I actually don't see a direct follow-up there. So this is also a little bit of a tricky one here. Reminds me of a position I played on last week's Brawl, which I think is on my own personal channel, which you should go there and subscribe right now. Right now we got a lot of content. We're trying to spread it out so everyone gets the love everywhere. Go check out more videos that Danny does personally on my own personal channel. Make fun of me over there. And in that bullet brawl game, I sacked unnecessarily and lost. So, okay, what... I'm sort of obsessed with removing this knight with a tempo right now. I only have 14 minutes, so maybe I need to think of another thing to do. Oh, rook takes d6. And if takes, then knight takes f7. Then if takes, you get rook e8 check. He blocks with the rook on f8. Oh, that seemed like a a powerful idea at first sight, right? Like eliminating this dark square bishop to clear ways for the other pieces to work together against the king. But then there was no follow-up. Unless there's a way to get at h6. Oh, what about a simple move like queen to d2, which hits the h6 pawn and the bishop? Suddenly, I'm liking that a lot. Queen to d2, and the question is what happens if he takes. If he takes, then if we sack with the queen, move the knight with a double check, he moves, nothing to it. If queen to d2, he takes, and then you take f7 first, and he takes, then you take h6, he moves the king. It's one of those positions that is irritating because it's so ripe with options that you don't know which one to dive into, and you're racing against the clock. Even a move like bishop g6 is worth considering. Just putting the bishop to like a simple square, creating threats, and ganging up on pawns. Rook takes d6 takes. Knight takes f7 takes. Rook e8 check, rook f8. I really want to just gang up on h. I want a tactic on this diagonal to work. I'm struggling with this one. Queen to d2. Queen to d2. Bishop takes e5 is no good. If he takes f5. Again. Oh, knight to g6 check might work? Right away? If he takes with the bishop or the pawn? No, you can even take with the pawn and guard g7. Huh. Man, this is frustrating. Oh, I feel stuck. Stuck in the way I'm thinking about this position. I'm not considering the right idea. There's a key point I'm missing. It might be a simple point. I don't know, Captain. I just don't know. I could just take on c8. Right? And then play queen to d2. But even that, it's not concrete enough to really justify it, I don't think. Queen d2 takes. What if knight g... No, knight g4 check, it's not double check. There's no way that works. I was thinking about a way to get into f6. Huh. Not a happy camper. To be frustrating with this. To be struggling with this is frustrating. Knight takes f7 again. Rook takes. I don't know. I don't know the answer here. So what would I do in a real game to save practical time for the remaining puzzles? What would I do here? Probably knight to g4. Seems like a simple way to remove the piece on this diagonal. Bishop takes, queen takes, no worry. So I'm going to go for that, even though it's very passive. All right, so let's see the answer. So it was rook takes, queen takes, knight takes, rook e8. Why is not rook f8? What's wrong with rook f8? I looked at this many times. Rook f8 seems like a completely... What's wrong with rook f8, everybody? I wonder if there's some comments here. Yeah. Can someone please explain why not rook f8? I agree with you. I agree. You know what? That's just frustrating. I just spent a lot of time on that, and it turns out bad puzzle. I gotta go after my team on that one. You know what I mean? I know what they're thinking. Danny, don't you do everything at Chess.com? So when you're blaming someone, aren't you blaming yourself? I don't do everything. We have a huge team of people working on stuff, and that was frustrating. All right, so now what? Something like Queen E8, threatening Rook takes H5, and there's nothing he can do about it. That would go with the helpless theme, wouldn't it? Queen E8, and if he plays Queen to G5, then what? I don't know. Queen E8 look like an option. What else? I mean, G3 is an option, but takes your pawn is pinned. I mean, I don't really think there's a way to clear that, not in a forcing manner. Um, so we should actually focus on. Queen to C8 threatens to come into H3, but that's not even a check, is it? He can go here. Oh wait, maybe he can't stop that because after check King G5, we can take everything, right? Oh, it's going to be Queen E8 now. So you're supposed to do this first, I bet, and then go back. Yeah. You see, the reason is that it takes away the running square. So now when he moves the queen, you check, moves in its force. But okay, the pattern was there. He came, he saw. Um, I think I see it. It must be taking on f7 because there's a full board here. The bishop comes to a3 if the king's on f8. So you take here, then you take here. He can't move to h8. He has to go there, and then bishop a3. Full board awareness is one of the most important things in developing your tactical vision. Don't forget about a piece that you didn't think was a part of your attack. Every piece deserves to be a part of your attack, okay? Every piece deserves a chance. Rook to b1 is checkmate, buddy. No? Supposed to take here first? It's the same thing. What? What? Why does it matter? It's all the same. Whatever. Whatever. You hear? I'm calling out my own website right now. Whatever. 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 It's like I don't even care. I don't even like jelly. Bishop e5. King can run to f8. So probably the answer is knight e7 check first. Okay, bishop to d4. If king to f8, where's the mate and bake? I don't even know. These are the ones I really hate. Everyone knows I hate these ones because I'm up a queen, knight, and bishop. So the fact that I even have to put effort into it is like against my, spiritual beliefs as a chess player. I should just play bishop d4 because it's about winning, not finding the best way. So, I mean, I assume this must be it. Okay, no. So they want you to give check first. What? It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. You're freaking out right now. Every move for white is winning. What? What? This is silly. Bishop f8. Oh, that's nice. That's actually the fastest way to do it, right? It's just that's the only way to mate in two because if bishop f8, if he took with the rook, then knight e7 was there. But again, I mean, so that's a good pattern. You want to be aware of every kind of mating net against every possible weakness, and what I mean by that is that as soon as you see your opponents in a position where they have a weak color complex around the king, you want to know all these patterns. And that pattern of bishop f8, where if either piece takes it, they're giving up something. If king takes, you have backdoor. If rook takes, the e7 square becomes open. That's an important pattern to know. Is it irrelevant in this position? The answer is no, because when you're this winning, honestly, the best thing to do is to just like play the move that is like the first thing that comes to your head. Because from a practical perspective, like you may be under time pressure, you're in a blitz game, like you want to win, right? You're a player, you're not a scientist. So I get frustrated with these puzzles, as I've said, when you're just winning. But okay, that is an important pattern to see, and I think it can improve your knowledge of how to attack weak color complexes. So I will say that. Okay. Oh, geez, Louise. Now what? Now what? D6. If pawn takes F6, that makes sense. d6. If pawn takes, you can also then play c7 take. I think d6 makes sense. Okay, fine. What? Everything is winning here, homie. That was probably the dumbest puzzle ever. And when I mean dumb, I mean dumb. All right, so that was 4 moves to mate. Not even forced, FYI. Oh, wait, yeah, it is. If he goes to F8, you get there. But, I mean, if any other move is winning, obviously now you guys are thinking I'm just making excuses. Stop whining, Danny. I can already see the comments coming, right? Well, first of all, I'm here to solve the puzzles and try to find patterns that are relevant to getting better. So even in the last one, when I didn't find the mate in 2, I pointed out it was a pattern you could know. But just as useful of a pattern here is this move d6. The point is that if they take this way, you sack the c pawn and then take, and you force your way through to a promotion. A very important endgame concept is that it's not how many pawns you have left, it's if you get a queen before them. So you should always be willing to sack as many pawns as possible to make that breakthrough. And f6 wouldn't have done that, because if takes d6, and then if they play f5, actually you're still winning in that line, but it's not as accurate. Would I have ever played king e5 in a real game? The answer is no. That's my point. Yeah. Okay. All right, now what? Knight c8 check is double check. If he goes to e8, we mate. If he goes to f7, we go to e7, chase him out. Right? Knight takes f5 is also double check. King f7, queen e7, king g6, queen takes g7, king takes, g4 check, knight takes, bishop takes as mate. So I've calculated to a forced mate, and now I go. Even if I got it wrong, that's okay, because I calculated it out to a forced mate. And most of the time, our daily puzzle system is good. All right, so now what? Pressure on top of pressure. That makes a lot of sense, I think. If we play queen h4 and then the king runs to f5, is there a reason why that has improved our position? We can play g4 check, but he's not going to take with the knight and let us mate him. He's going to play king e6, and Bob's your uncle, right? Queen g3 check is dismissed. Queen h6 check takes with the king. G4 check, knight takes. I don't know. I don't see a reason for that. Oh, look at this. This is sweet. You play f4 check. He has to en passant. Then you play e4 check. It brings in another piece into the game. I'm going to play it just because that seems like a fun thing to do. And if that's not the right answer, then this was a bad puzzle. It was the right answer. And now look, mate in 1. Boom. That's a very nice puzzle. Can everyone get excited about that for just a moment? Right? If you're not excited about that, you're dead inside. You're dead inside, I tell you. All right. What do we got here? We got knight to c7 check, forcing move, queen to b8 check, king e7, and then bishop d8 check, king back, and then knight c7's mate. So that actually seems like a forced mate. All right, we'll go for it. If it's forced mate, it's forced mate, I tell you. Forced mate is forced mate, and every which way you spin it. Okay, this is going to be nasty. There must be something nasty here. Honey Badger style. Look at him. He's nasty. If knight d8 check, rook takes, queen check, king g7, we have nothing. If knight g5 check, pawn takes, queen e8 check, king g7, knight takes e8, king h6, queen h3 is mate. So let's do that again. Knight g5 check. If king to g7, that's then knight e8, king h6, knight f7, king h5, queen to d1, king h4, right? That gets like insane, right? But fun at the same time. So let's make sure I was right about the... Okay, time's up. Knight g5 check, pawn takes, queen e6 check, king g7, knight e8, king h6, queen h3 is mate. That is an accurately calculated line. Confirmed. Confirmed, Will Robinson. If knight g5 check, king g7... Maybe it's knight e6 there then. King up, knight f7, king h5, queen d1, king h4, g3, king h3, knight g5, everybody gets taken. Oh, that is sick. 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 It's gonna be huge. I'm going to build a wall, and it's going to be huge. Everyone's going to be huge. Look at this. No, that's mate. That's a sick idea that I came up with, so that should be right. There's a faster mate? Faster mate in 3? Uh, uh, you guys get that I don't know what I'm... Oh, it just takes here. What? Okay, what is it? Just queen to e3? Wow. But wasn't my mate sweeter? G3 check, king up, knight G5 check, pawn takes, knight takes. I get credit for calculating a mate in 8 before I started the whole position. Again, this was the line that you all know that I had looked at, right? But I calculated this idea where the knights work together on G5, which is why I played knight E6 instead of knight E8. So I think mine was a little bit sweeter, honestly. Plus, you got to see a Donald Trump impression along the way, so it's gonna be huge. Let's keep going. It's gonna be huge, huge, huge. We should get a GIF going. Huge. All right. Rook takes e6 doesn't work because of queen takes e6. Apparently, I would love to force the pawn to take and then mate and bake. If rook d8 check, rook takes. Nada, not gonna work here anymore. Um. It's kind of irritating, huh? Kind of slightly irritating, yeah. It's like, where are we gonna move at? I have an idea. Queen h5 threatens this weird line where you're threatening to take here, and after queen takes, you have queen to b5, and then he has to block with the queen, and then you have... Oh, maybe that doesn't work because of queen e5, he can go back. Kind of a cool idea, but looks like it wasn't going to deliver. But what if I just take on e6 and then play queen back to d3 and just threaten mate? Then what? Now what you gonna do? Black king, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when I checkmate you? Black king, what you gonna do? I should probably just take you, black king, oh, what you gonna do? Check right there and checkmate you, black king, what you gonna do? All right, we gotta keep rolling. Didn't we just see this puzzle? Check up, and mate? I swore we just saw this one. Queen e8 check, king up, bishop check, king up, knight c7. Oh, he would have had king there that time, but it's the same thing, right? We got the same puzzle going on here. All right, well, same pattern. Get the knight involved. Everybody's happy. Oh, wait, this is a famous, right? Isn't this a famous game? Some sort of like evergreen game or some shenanigans? I think so. I think this is a famous attraction / deflection / boomtown. Queen e8 check, then queen h5 check, then the rook gets involved in the party and everybody's happy. You have to consider the forcing way to get your pieces the most coordinated, right? That's the first thing. So some of these move a little faster. Queen f7 check, king moves, and then bishop f8 threatens mate, so that's likely it. And then he has to take it, I think. Yeah. And we delivered the goods. Piling it on, I'll say. Oh, man. You guys know this is my least favorite type of position, although a very fun title, right? Creative mating. Fun fact, not directly out of the pages of Kama Sutra. Actually, a name of a daily puzzle. Creative mating. There you go. So he's stalemated in the current position. That's a fact. If we move the knight, he can go to c8. No matter where we move the knight to, that becomes his only legal square. If we move the bishop off of the h1a8 diagonal, he can move the king to a8. That becomes his only legal square. These are useful things to recognize because you want to know what his only legal moves are as you commit to improving your pieces, right? Their coordination. So if you move the knight and he goes there to c8, and then you play king e6... If he runs to d8, you can play b7. King e8 is the only move, and then you queen. If he runs back to b8, then what? I actually have no idea. I have no idea what the fastest way to mate in this game is going to be. And that is a fun fact. And that is a hitting you with some truth, some knowledge. Maybe we should improve the bishop to this diagonal because then he only has 2 squares. And then get the knight into a position where you attack on the light squares. That's a forced mate, by the way. Bishop e2, king moves. Bishop a6, king moves. Knight moves, king moves. Knight moves, king moves. Knight goes to c6, king to a8, b7 is mate. So that's one fun way to do it. And I'm going to commit to that, even though I know it's probably wrong, just because I wanted to point out that, okay, I figured out a forced mate. I'm going for it, knowing that there's got to be a faster solution that I'm not going to sit here and find. King e4. Oh, that's cool. So you block the diagonal that way, then come in. That's awesome. That's just awesome. Was I going to find that as the fastest way to mate in 4? You're damn right I wasn't. But one of the things that's interesting about the way I was suggesting from the beginning, everybody, is that if you can put your opponent in a position where he only has 2 moves, like legally back and forth, and that frees up everything else, that's not a bad idea to go for. That's why I went for that bishop e2 line, which is what they do with the king e4 line. You give them 2 moves. I just didn't see this idea, bringing the king forward. That's the truth. But that's an important pattern to take away. Put your opponent in a position where they have limited options that gives you the time to improve your pieces. Okay? All right, well, now I can move my knight. He goes to b7. If I move my knight there and he goes to b7, I can also go to a8. Okay, if I could put my king on c8 and then move my knight to c7, that would be mate. If I could get my knight to a different square that would threaten knight c7, that's probably good. I don't see a way to exactly do that. I mean, this is pretty easily winning, but you just can't play b7 because then they can sack and then take your last pawn. So come on, what's the creative way to get mate? Knight e4, no. Knight e6, the bishop moves. King to d7, the bishop will give check. And then if you take it, it's stalemate, right? If knight e6, bishop b7, king to d7, bishop c8, sacrificing the bishop is stalemate. So that doesn't mean the knight e6 wrong. It means that. Okay, so one way to do it is to play knight e6, and when he moves, go to d8, and then when he moves the bishop, you play knight c7, check, king up, and then you get a queen. And there's no way for him to stop that. So I'm going to go for that, knowing that it may not be right. Okay, maybe it's right. Should I play king d6 or king d8? I don't know. Okay, apparently they want king to d6. See, that's a bad puzzle. There's no, I mean, I understand that this is like going to be a faster mate. This is mate in 5 versus king d8. But to me, it's like, hey, you solve the key idea, improving the knight without giving the drawing chances. But all right, I'm kind of spoiled. I like getting things right all the time, every time. You know, probably because I have a huge ego, as everyone tells me all the time. But I'm just playing a character here, everybody. All right, this isn't the real me. It's just a character. Okay? They're like, well, it's not a very good character. I'm like, well, you're not a very good character. And then I whip my hair back. No, I'm kidding. Taking looks good. Well, why not? If he takes your queen, you win with discovered check. So what's the just queen to c7, threatening mate? Okay. The thing is, it's like, do I have to win in this really fancy way? I'm not about being fancy because I don't, want to be as cool as everyone thinks I want to be. That is kind of cool to have a subtle move that allows this, but I just want to point out again that that if you just took the knight, you're just totally winning. 2 pieces for the rook and the mating, and if they take, you play d7 discovered check, which was the whole idea, and then you win. So, also winning. Now, what is going on here? Bishop e6 check. If king to d8, we mate on d7. If king to b8, I don't know, maybe we have nothing. Maybe that's not the right answer. Should we improve the queen first? Queen g8. King moves, queen f7. If he ever runs out, you have knight to f5, which is mate. So he goes back. Step by step, move by move. Well, that's a little giveaway, right? That makes me think that my idea of improving the queen a little bit was probably the right idea, because if he can never run to d6 because of knight f5 mate, then probably getting the queen closer. No? Okay, I'm wrong. I thought, oh, maybe it's the right, maybe I had the right idea, but it's queen f5 first. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Okay, well, now we're going to go for this queen idea. Is that really the best way to have a puzzle? I mean, because wasn't the way I was doing it also accurate? Let's see if I'm right. Wasn't, if I had started with queen to g8, um, oh, you know why I'm wrong? I am wrong on this one because he has bishop to d8 blocking, and after check, the king can run to c7. White is probably still going to get a good attack, but I was wrong. So I wasn't considering all my opponent's options. See, all those Danny haters out there, I do admit when I'm wrong, which happens often. Anyway, but okay, that was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the daily puzzle solving. I do think we learned something. I think. Uh, Check out the November 23rd single daily puzzle solve. Just one puzzle, one man, one puzzle, two cheeses, great tasting palette. Check that out on Facebook, and go ahead and go over to Daniel Rensch's YouTube channel. Subscribe over there for more bullet brawls and chess rivals and all that stuff. They're both my channels, let's be honest. You guys are like, why are you making us subscribe twice? But here's the thing. Chess.com's channel is used for so much more stuff, right? Highlights of all of our other Chess Monday shows and Peter Docker's awesome news reports on site as he travels the world. Same with Mike Klein. And sometimes we get kind of a backlog of content, and we want you guys to get everything without making things sit there. So we decided, hey, let's do some of this over here, some of this over there. Everybody's happy. In the end, we're all getting closer in our relationships, and that's what matters. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on Chess.com.